Hey folks, I want to share with you some information about the economy and let you guys know, in case you weren't already aware, that the economy is intricately interconnected. And what that means is that depending on where you work or what you do for a living, how you earn your paycheck, how you earn your living, the paycheck you receive every week or every other week, you are relying and dependent upon other companies and other industries no matter what. Nobody is on their own. If you work at Walmart, if you work at Target, if you work at Costco, if you work at Kroger, if you work at Ford, if you work at GM, if you work at Google, if you work at Microsoft, if you work at Zillow, Redfin, Apple, Amazon, Tesla, it doesn't matter. Everyone is dependent and relying upon someone else, some other business, some other industry or industries, multiple, no matter what. And what we were potentially heading for was ultimate collapse. And the potential railroad strike and railway freight shutdown posed a giant risk to everybody, to us all, despite how closely connected you are to the railroads, freight transportation, and or the unions. But thankfully, early this morning, we got an update. Thankfully, it looks like a huge disaster will be avoided, with recent news reports stating that, I'm going to read this to you guys, unions and management reached a tentative deal early this morning, averting a freight railroad strike that had threatened to cripple U.S. supply chains and push prices higher for many goods. We're still struggling with inflation here, so this was not going to be good for those already tight on their budgets. The deal with unions representing more than 50,000 engineers and conductors was announced just after 5 a.m. Eastern this morning in a statement from the White House, which called it an important win for our economy and the American people. Absolutely. It's an important win for the economy. It's an important win for the American people. It's an important win for the workers, the railroad workers in the unions. It's an important win for the railroad companies themselves, because despite anything else, they were positioned to lose money out of this deal. And a verbal agreement between the two sides was reached at about 2:30 a.m. Eastern, according to sources, and the final hours were spent getting the details worked out. Now, I'm going to explain more about this in just a moment. I got some comments and some reactions and some opinions. But first, I want to talk to you guys about finance, financial preparation, financial news updates, and someone in particular. A channel that I've watched and you guys brought to my attention late last night as I was seeing comments and emails and messages coming through saying, hey, Jeremiah Babe just shouted out your channel on his video. Go check it out.
Really quick before I forget, I've been watching a couple videos, a channel called Kevin. It's all in caps, capital K, capital E, capital V, capital I, and Kevin, Kevin, capital. And I really, really like this channel, and I wanted to give Kevin a shout out. He really has a great perspective on things, and anywhere from talking about the type of people you need to be surrounding yourselves with, what's happening out on the streets of America, real estate, what's happening to this country financially, what's happening to the consumer. Really, really good channel. And anytime I come across a great channel, and by the way, a friend of mine referred me to this channel, and I've been watching it the past few days, and I really like what Kevin's doing. So check his channel out. We need to be supporting people like this who are, boots on the ground, sharing with us what's really happening. So check that channel out, Kevin. Next article coming from CNBC titled Mortgage Demand.
So Jeremiah Babe, check him out. YouTube channel. You guys probably already seen him before. He's got, I think it's like 170,000 subscribers, 180,000 subscribers. So you guys probably know who I'm talking about already. So I'm not putting you on to anything. But what I do want to mention is the fact that YouTube, I speak about YouTube. I speak about creating YouTube content. I speak about starting channels and the algorithm. And the interesting thing about the algorithm is that Jeremiah Babe falls within my YouTube Studio Analytics as a channel my audience watches. Now, I would say that the algorithm has assigned or categorized or placed my channel, Kevin, in the niche of prepper based on the viewers, based on the keyword search terms, based on the other channels, based on the other videos it says you guys watch. And what's interesting about that is how Jeremiah Babe ties into that. Because as I've said before, prepping is kind of like Kleenex. It became the general term for a specific idea. Although Kleenex is not the end all be all of tissues. And prepping is not just about stockpiling food. It's not just about growing your own food. It's not just about producing solar powered energy or harnessing solar and storing solar powered energy. It's not just about rainwater collection. It's not just about living off the land. It's not just about knowing how to hunt and fish and forage. It's not just about that. And Jeremiah Babe is a clear example of that, for the simple fact that he provides so much content and so much valuable information from a position of finance and business, economics, relationships, trends, statistical data about money, about world news, about the political side of your bank accounts, about real estate, about housing markets, about mortgage rates, which I need to talk to you guys about that. I had a conversation yesterday with my mortgage broker. If you guys noticed on one of my videos I put up yesterday, I shared with you a screenshot from a text message I received that stated that the new conforming mortgage limit is now $715,000. I'm waiting for this plane to go by. The new max is $715,000 before you enter into a jumbo mortgage, which changes the approval process. It changes the underwriting process. It changes the buyer criteria. It changes everything. And granted, 715 is now the new max. I believe it will probably go up beyond that, depending on certain cities. There's certain cities that are higher than others. I think there's like 10 cities across the United States that get a higher conforming max because they're just in an expensive zip code, basically. But we were talking about the mortgage rates and the new max as Michelle is shopping for our next purchase. And just to sum it up for you guys, he was saying, you know, I locked in someone the other day at 6.3. And I said, what? I said, were they excited? He goes, no, they weren't excited, but it is what it is. And I said, well, this is a little bit of a struggle for me because we just came out of 2.7. I think it's like 2.74 for a 30-year fixed. And granted, this is perfect credit, so to speak. So we got the best we could get. Moving forward to higher home prices and higher interest rates. So I said, how do you sell this? How do you get people to want to go through with this? And he said, well, everyone's planning on refinancing in a couple years. And I said, well, what if the rates don't go down? Then what? He's like, granted, he said the rates could go up. Then the rate that you have now at this 6.3 or whatever it may be, probably higher than that after September 21st when Jerome Powell and the Fed announced their new increase to the Fed rate. And then it's like, well, if it goes up to 10%, which it won't go up to 10% in September, but if it goes up to 10%, then you'll look at your 6.3, whatever it may be, and you'll be happy that you got that. And then he asked me, he said, but how much money did you make when you sold your house? I'm like, whoa. Don't give me that. I'm not using the profits that we made from that to offset the higher price and higher costs and higher interest rates of what we're seeing today, especially for those out there who didn't make those profits and are possibly first-time home buyers. So this is a little bit of a struggle, a little bit of a conundrum for me, probably for many other people out there looking to get into real estate. But ultimately, at the end of the day, it came down to the fact that we have to buy a deal. That goes without saying. We always have to buy a deal. We never pay retail. We never pay full price. We never pay over asking. And the rate's got to be great, or we're paying cash. That's just my position. That's my opinion. And that's my financial prep for you guys today. But either way, I want to say thank you to Jeremiah Babe for the shout out. I really do appreciate it. And I'm not quite sure who the friend was who shared the channel with him, but thank you as well. And Jeremiah Babe, he said something that really resonated with me, that we do need to help and share and promote each other, especially those doing great work. And I'm all for it. If you guys recall, I told you that the channel Kevin and my wife, PFS on YT, we contributed towards Stephen Gardner's giveaway for September. Now, granted, we've known Stephen for a while, and I was on the phone with him one night, and he said something. He was telling me about the giveaway, and he said something to me, and I can't remember exactly what he said, but he says, "Look, I'm just trying to help these people. I'm trying to do the best I can to help as many people as possible." And I said, "Dude," I said, "just sign me up." He wasn't asking. I said, "Sign me up," because that right there is what it's all about. And I do see some negativity in the comments from time to time about people kind of bashing my YouTube membership. It's $7.99. And number one, you don't have to join. Number two, it isn't always just about trying to sell something. Sometimes people just want to support the channel. I can actually go down a list, and I've replied to as many of them as possible, because the YouTube analytics, the back end, it's not really good at showing you all the data that matters most. For instance, it'll show you data on your recent upload, it'll show you data on your audience and things like that, but it doesn't show you a lot of data on the memberships. It doesn't show you a lot of data on the members. And I'm going through and I'm seeing, and then it compares to like the computer version, the desktop version versus the phone. And the phone doesn't show you anything. The Studio app on the phone doesn't show you anything. And members are on there commenting, and I'm not getting notified that they're commenting. They're leaving super thanks. They're leaving, they're doing the super chats and all that, and I'm not seeing it. But I found out where it is. I found it, and I replied to them. And at the end of the day, it's just folks out there that they appreciate what we're doing. They want to show some love. They want to support in whichever way possible, even if it's monetary support or just a verbal share, a link share, a like, a subscribe. It doesn't matter. But at the end of the day, the membership is there for support. And if you want to learn more about YouTube, if you want to learn more about how you can get your channel started, get it growing, improve it. I know we're having success already. I can tell you right now, Trucking Prepper is having success already. And he was one of the first members to join. And he specifically told me, he said, "Thank you so much. No one has ever responded to me. No one has ever cared. No one's ever tried to help." And he goes, "I'm already seeing growth. I'm already seeing some success." And I'm telling you right now, he's in a great niche, and I hope he continues on. But that's where it's at. We need to support those out there doing good things in whatever way possible. And, so Stephen Gardner, he's doing a great service with the platform that he has been blessed with. And Jeremiah Babe is doing the same. I ran through the list the other day of some other great channels from an email that I received from a viewer. And they were pretty much locked in and subscribed to some really good channels, giving some valuable content. And please don't misinterpret what I was saying about gold. I wasn't saying that gold was bad. I wasn't saying that you shouldn't invest in precious metals. I was just saying that if you're looking to get better prepared for whatever it may be, maybe it's not immediately pour your money into gold. That's all I was saying. And I was giving an example of how someone was trying to sell gold or trade gold or barter gold with Economic Prepper and I on the street, and we weren't interested. But it doesn't mean gold is bad. Prepper Princess actually mentioned how, I watched her video. Her comments are turned off, but you can't comment on it. But she was talking about how she bought gold, and over time it increased in value. Now, granted, she said it trended with the dollar, so it was a safe bet. But at the end of the day, she did have to take somewhat of a hit to sell it. But we don't know what would happen in the event of a total collapse. and gold becomes the medium of exchange. Perhaps, maybe, I don't know. But if you're sitting there thinking to yourself, I've never prepared, I am unprepared, I want to get better prepared, what should I do first? I'm not going to sit here and tell you to go buy gold, but I'm not going to tell you not to buy gold either. So it's kind of it's like we have to have more information. Like I always tell you guys, there's more to it than just what do I do now? Well, what have you been doing? What are you capable of doing? And what are you trying to get done? So just want to clear that up. I'm sure it'll get missed. I'm sure people will mishear it again and ignore everything I just said, possibly get angry at the thumbnail and title that I chose for this video. But either way, I feel good because I shared it with you guys. It is what it is. Now, let's talk about this railroad and how it affects everybody. I've already mentioned that we see that a tentative deal has been reached and perhaps we won't see a shutdown. Good news. Not sure if this video will get pushed out by the algorithm if there's too much good news in it, because people out there tend to gravitate towards the bad, but it's good news. But let's become more educated and more knowledgeable about what's happening, what could have happened, and how it could affect you. Because this is not isolated. This preparation, no matter what channel you watch, the preparation applies in so many different ways, whether it's food, a food shortage, or a particular food shortage, or a fertilizer problem, or a drought issue, Lake Mead, Lake Powell, California, an electrical grid system failure, rolling blackouts, whatever it is. Oh, and don't get me started on this purge thing in Illinois. That's a whole nother video that needs to be debunked and clarified because it's not quite what it seems. Okay, let's take a second here. Let's try to do our best to stop providing misinformation and knee-jerk reactions to headlines just to catch your attention. Let's really listen, learn, and pay attention and apply logic to a lot of the things that are going on, especially considering that most of what we hear is false and the way it's delivered to us is misleading. Think about that. So I had put this together yesterday because I was going to bring you guys an update about the railroad strike. As I wake up this morning, I realize that there have been changes and improvements and updates. So it still applies, but it's just going to be brought to you in a different light. The headline read, Amtrak cancels all long-distance trains ahead of expected railroad strike. Now, according to the Daily News, Amtrak will cancel all its long-distance trains effective immediately ahead of an anticipated freight railroad strike just after midnight on Friday, tomorrow. The cancellations will affect trains from New York to Chicago, Miami, New Orleans, and Savannah. And the cancellations will cut off passenger rail service from New York to anywhere south or west of Washington, D.C. Now, although Amtrak workers are not part of the anticipated strike, the fact that Amtrak operates the vast majority of its trains on tracks owned by freight rail companies means that Amtrak trains won't be able to safely reach their destinations if freight workers go on strike. Fortunately, the trains in the Northeast Corridor will continue operating because Amtrak owns the tracks. And according to reports, Amtrak said many state-supported routes outside the Northeast could also be canceled before next week if the strike goes off as expected, noting that there has not been a national freight railroad strike in 30 years. And basically, so there hasn't been a strike in 30 years. That means that a lot of folks are unaware and have never experienced the pain of a railroad strike. Let's continue on. From a separate article stating that basically almost no one will be immune from the consequences of a railroad strike. Pay attention. From car makers to refiners, industries brace for a rail strike, and car buyers may not get the vehicle they want on time. Commuter rail lines could see service disruptions, and shipments from everything from oil to livestock feed could be snarled. Those are just a few of the wide-ranging impacts a walkout by U.S. rail workers would have on the country's industries and economy. Now, this, I'm not going to go through this whole thing. It goes through the auto industry, it goes through commuting, it goes through energy, it goes through agriculture, it goes through retail, which, we can talk about that in another video and really drill down on it. But the point that I want you guys to understand that I'm trying to share with you is that it affects everybody. Now, granted, fortunately, it looks like we have dodged this bullet, but no one was safe. So it's like you may say to yourself, Kevin, this doesn't matter. I'm not part of the railroad. I'm not part of the union. I don't care. Well, you should, because maybe you're that person who relies on the commuter rail that can't operate Amtrak because it's privately owned by one of these, BNSF, Norfolk Southern, Union Pacific, CSX, so they can't run. Okay. No, I'm not a commuter. I got a car. I don't need that. Oh, okay. Well, maybe you are an employee of Amtrak. And guess what? This shutdown has then shut down commuter train traffic, thus receiving a phone call, text, or email saying no need to come into work after Friday because there's nothing to do. So then it affects you. You're not getting paid. Maybe your salary. Okay. But if not, then more than likely, you're just not going to get hours. You're not going to get paid. Then you're going to start feeling the pain. Perhaps maybe you're so far removed from that, it doesn't matter. But guess what? Your new car was supposed to show up relatively soon, and now it won't because it's stuck on a train somewhere and it's not going to get to its destination for you to receive it. Maybe this is a car or truck that you need specifically to do a job that earns you money. This is a big deal. And what needs to be understood and realized is that the preparation is full circle and our economy is all intertwined, and understanding what's going on out there and how each and every move of the piece on the chessboard can then impact you, your family, your business, your money, your investments, your savings, your future is huge, especially now because we have so much turmoil right now worldwide and in the financial markets with the banks, and also with the Fed trying to fight inflation with these interest rate hikes, and the housing market, the potential future of the housing market decline, the automotive industry bubble deflating, which we need to talk about. Announcements have been made that Ford is putting their foot down and they're making the dealers they're basically making the dealers stick to set prices on their new electric vehicles. You know why? Not so much for the pushback and negative publicity and tarnished reputation that they received as a brand, as Ford as a brand, from dealerships, independent dealerships licensed to sell their vehicles, adding crazy markups and additional dealer markups. But they realized that they are going to suffer against competitors like Tesla that sell direct to consumer. And people may be upset with Tesla and the increase of their vehicles through inflation, the increase of some of the services, add-ons, and the self-driving technology and how much it costs and the subscription-based services. Sure, but Tesla's not jacking up the price of their vehicles through additional dealer markup, ADMs, just to take advantage of onesie-twosie customers here and there, destroying their brand. They're not. So granted, this is the direction that we're going, it can't be stopped. It's going to happen. You're going to see more Teslas and more Rivians and more Lucids, and well, maybe not so many Lucids because they're going through some financial trouble right now. But the thing is, it's coming. It's happening. And Ford could potentially lose terribly if the dealerships continue, and not just Ford, GM, Toyota, Honda, every other manufacturer who sells through an authorized licensed dealer that doesn't sell direct to consumer is at a disadvantage because of some of the games that are being played out there, which could force some of these manufacturers to create a new division of their company that's specifically for EV that would sell direct to consumer to bypass the dealerships, which again, it's all intricately interconnected. And if that were to happen, then folks could feel the pain in a whole new way in their income, in their employment, and just a change of the auto industry, a revolution, an evolution of the auto industry that could affect so many people. Think about it. Think about how many people actually rely on dealerships. And then you take that out and we're going direct to consumer. It's a game changer. It's a game changer. So we need to be cognizant of what's going on, because all of this ties into everything else in somehow, some way. And I want to bring you guys that information and bring you guys the news and the updates, and just maybe some thought processes on them, the way that I see them, that maybe will make you think about things a certain way, or not a certain way, but like expand on it to really understand what could possibly happen. I'll leave you guys with this. I get comments. I posted a video about how I spoke to a fast food worker and explaining how what they were seeing and what they were feeling and what the emotions that they had about the economy, about business, about volume of traffic, revenue, sales, less people buying, less people coming in, the cost of their menu items going up. Don't take it the wrong way. We're not here trying to get financial advice from fast food workers. But at the same time, if you think that because they're a fast food worker that they don't have insight, they don't have, an opinion or anything, any information of value worth sharing and listening to, then you are ultimately doomed. Because I don't care who you are, what you do, where you live, how much money you have or you don't have. I feel as though, depending on what you say, I can pretty much learn from you somehow, some way. And by talking to a fast food restaurant worker, it allows me to continuously get a better reading on the market and on the people and on the economy in general and what's going on and how they feel and the sentiment and what to expect, and some more dots to add to connect to later. And it's not we're going to fast food restaurants to get financial advice. No, these are boots on the ground, insider intel, sharing you real world experiences and information about what's really going on. But they're all parts of a whole. They're all pieces to the puzzle that you have to put together. So if you misinterpret that, then this may not be the right channel for you. No harm, no foul. And if you decide you want to unsubscribe, just unsubscribe. You don't need to announce it in the comments. But Harley or Goldwing, that's the Goldwing. But I'm going to continue to bring you guys these updates, these news, these stories, my experiences, and share them with you in hopes that it can help you and your family better prepare for whatever it is that could possibly be coming, because something's always coming. And this is no time to give up. It's a time to continuously keep pushing and keep trying. And it's going to get a little tougher. People say you shouldn't try. That's completely incorrect. It's completely false. You shouldn't try. YouTube is too saturated. You'll never make it. No. Yeah, there's more people. There's more channels. There's more creators. There's more competition, so to speak. I'll touch on that in another video. But that just means you have to evolve. You have to get smarter. You have to expand your network. You have to try different things. You have to figure out what's the new way that this is going to work. It doesn't mean you quit and give up. If that were the case, we wouldn't be here today. We're here today with the luxuries and technology and things that we have today because of people before us not giving up. So that's it.